This guitar has never worked right since the last time I touched it. It needs a good rewiring and to actually figure out what's wrong with the diode distortion that I tried. And I'm going to try and fix the strap lock issue that's been plaguing this guitar for, 2 years now? Welcome to Today I Fixed. This is my early 2000s Signature Series SG. It was built by Baldwin. I think it between 2005 and 2010. I'm not exactly sure. This guitar has had so very much work done to it by me, and right now it works, but it doesn't work the way I wanted it to. So we're going to dig in and rewire it, as well as it needs some new strings, so I'm going to go ahead and change those. The neck has been glued and re-glued on it. If you can see here, the fretboard had come off at one point and I put it back on. And a couple of the inlays also came out, but we got those put back in as well. Not the focus of the video, but just interesting details about the guitar. So we're gonna go ahead and get it torn down and dig into the wiring of it. I'm actually also gonna go ahead and pull the strap off, just because I'm gonna replace it with a better strap lock system. If anyone's wondering, no, I did not put this cover on backwards. It actually, see, it's all aluminum on the backside. This is all gum wrappers from, I was playing D&D with my friends and I had taken the guitar with me and we all chewed gum that night because, someone had a pack of gum. And I decided to peel off all the silver bits and run them on the back of the guitar. So that is not on backwards, it just has some history from D&D on it. As well as, just for more information, it also has the very first dollar I ever made making music on the back of it. Me, my friend David, and my friend Chris were in a band called The Hughes Effect, and we played an open mic and got a tip. And it was $3, so we each got $1, and I took mine home and I taped it to the back of the guitar that I played that night, which was this. As well as it's got a sticker from a band, 2 different bands I was in, Beige with Stripes and Diet Sweets. Had lots of fun in both of them, and the history of the guitar has been well documented on the back of it. Alright, so let me see if I can get you in here a little closer. It's gonna be kind of hard to see. So the way the guitar is wired right now, it has, hold on, let me dig this out. Let me see if I can even understand how I wired this guitar last. There's the bridge ground, and my switch is loose apparently. You can see it here. I need to tighten that. That'll be set my fix. That goes there. Where's the other pickup? Here it is. Is that a pickup? Yeah, that's a pickup. Okay, so the way the guitar is wired right now, it has 2 volumes, a tone, and then what was supposed to be a diode distortion, a passive diode distortion. That actually I got from another guy who makes YouTube videos. I will put his link in the description to the video that I got that from. I didn't get it working. I think it's because I did it wrong. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and get it working this time. And I'm gonna just clean up the wiring basically and fix my switch blunder and basically just start over. I'm gonna pull all the wiring that's in it out and just restart because this thing is a mess. Gonna get the soldering iron plugged in here and we'll come back when I have it warmed up. Alright, now that I've got the iron nice and hot, I'm just gonna start by desoldering everything. I don't actually have to go fully down with it, but I would like to fully resolder this and get a chance to start from a completely fresh slate. This guitar was kind of wired in a hurry and is a little messy for my taste now. A little messy compared to how I like to work on things now when I'm not in a big hurry, Here you can actually see where I've added a resistor and a capacitor in line with the positive of the pickups. I've done this for both of them. I was experimenting and I actually quite like how the pickups sound. I'm not gonna take them out. I would love to give you a before and after, but I didn't even get one and I don't really feel like wiring and then rewiring the guitar. I will possibly do that on another guitar though. And we're even gonna pull out the capacitor for the tone circuit. We're gonna go fully down with this one. Take it all apart. Start over again. There's the, that's a little hot. There's the diodes that I had added in. Ooh, that still burns. There are the diodes that I had thrown in this, trying to get a diode distortion. I don't know that I did them right, so we're gonna go ahead and redo it. Now that we've got a clean slate, I'm gonna go ahead and just clean off all the solder that I can.
Oh yeah, one more thing.
All right, I've got it as clean as I'm gonna get it, and I've also decided that I am gonna go ahead and remove this little trick right here. This will be for another video. I will explain this in an entirely different video, though we are going to get a before and after sound out of the guitar because, surprise, I'm taking those out. To get started on our rewire here, I'm gonna hold this out of the way. What I believe to be red is the bridge and black is the neck. Hold on, we're just gonna turn it over and find out, actually. Bridge is the red wire, neck is the black wire. So we've got bridge and neck. And in this case, I want the guitar to be wired the same way. I'm gonna be holding the guitar like this against my body, which makes this the top and this the bottom. This is going to be the neck volume, and this is going to be the bridge volume. After I get done with this, I will make a nicer display of what I'm actually changing. But I want to go ahead and tin my soldering iron, tin that, re-tin the potentiometer, make sure our grounds are connected good. And then I'm gonna go ahead and try and make this look a little bit better. I'm gonna tin all the way back to this part of the wire here, because it's only tinned right here, so it's only got solder on this part of the wire. But I want to get solder all the way down in here, so then I can put it right here and connect the positive closer with making it look a lot better. Kind of an awkward thing here. I'm gonna tin it right here. And tinning is just you take solder and you put it in the wire, or you would tin your soldering iron, which you would put solder on the iron, so then it's already pre got solder on it. And same with anything that you're soldering. Tinning is just pre-applying the solder to the wire. And this one is already short, so I might actually cut this wire down to be closer to that size, because it doesn't need to be this long. I don't want to go too short to where I don't have anything to solder to, but I want to go short enough that it looks a lot cleaner. This harness is really messy, but also cleaner than I could probably do it. But I'm gonna try and get it as clean as possible. So after all of these wires, or after the pickups go into both volumes, they come out of this other tab here, and they go to our switch. And for this, I'm gonna continue the theme of black is bridge, or black is neck and red is bridge. So I'm gonna use our two red and black wire, which normally everyone's like, oh, the black has to be ground, but in this case, I'm going to use red as neck, or again, red as bridge, black as neck, and then white as our signal out of the switch. And I'm pretty sure I got the switch backwards the last time I did this. So I'm gonna wire it with enough extra wire that if I do get it backwards, I can just flip the switch so that it's wired correctly. But I'm gonna wire it backwards to how I had it. So I had red on the bottom here. I need to tin those. I had red on the bottom, so I'm gonna put red on the top this time. And then I had black on top, and I'm gonna put black on the bottom instead. And this ground wire here needs to be soldered to the side of the switch so that we don't get buzzing. So before I solder in this white wire, I'm gonna create a mess for myself. This is gonna get messy and you're not gonna be able to see it, but I'm gonna try and get this wire here soldered down here to the side. I actually got it to stick that time, okay. And wire white right here. And now the other end of these wires, which would be, this is our red, this is our black, and then the white comes out all the way over here. This is our ground and our positive for our output jack, which I might shorten this wire up a lot. It is quite long. But we're gonna go ahead and take this black and this red and hook them up to our volume knobs here. And I'm gonna go ahead and shorten these as well, just because they would look better. And then we just attach them in. Boink. And while I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and solder the two, well, no, we won't do that yet. I don't wanna make a mess. So far, again, we are only worried about the positive side of our circuits. And I am gonna shorten this wire up. I don't want it to be 10 million miles long. So we're gonna cut it about there. Use this thing, strip back our heat shrink. I may have made a mistake. So for some reason, that ground cable only was sheathed at the very end. Interesting note, maybe I shouldn't have cut that. Either way, doesn't matter now, it's already been done. Get that all trimmed up. Now we have our positive and our negative, which is way, way, way too exposed. So I'm gonna snag a piece of this heat shrink off of this other one and slip it over top of the other negative. Just because I don't want it overexposed. Grab it like that, and then use a lighter, if I can find mine. Ow. There we go. Get both of these, as well as our output jack. And then trim them back. Get those soldered in. It's a lot cleaner in my opinion. It's not perfect, but it's cleaner than it was. All right, now for the tone, you want to make sure everything's got some fresh solder on it. Nice fresh blob. And you wire the resistor there and between ground. We're actually going to do the same thing with this diode. We're going to take some shoddy, Scotty, Shody.
It's pronounced Schottky, you stupid
Diodes, 40 volt, and take two of these. Take two of these and flip one around like this. And then we're gonna take the wires and just twist them together like so, if it'll ever focus. There we go. Same on the other side, just twist them together. And then treat it like everything else, cover it in some solder. Make sure they're nice and stuck together. Other people would be a little bit more worried about the finish of their guitar getting solder on it, but today I am not that guy. I'm normally not that guy anyways, but today I'm especially. Whew, that's hot. Hey, that's still got some temperature in it. I'm gonna let that cool off for a second before I go back in. All right, that's cooled off now. I'm gonna trim these back and then attach them in much the same way as the other. Of course, pre-tinning everything. And rather than burn myself this time, nope, I guess I'm just gonna go in for it. Boom. That's a little messy, but we'll call it good enough. I'm gonna solder this, and then there's a little bit sticking out here that could be touching ground, and I don't wanna let it, so I'm gonna just solder this in place. Well, if you'd sit still, solder it in place, and then clip off the end. Do the same on the other side. Now we've got the positive sides of most of the circuit done. All that's left is to take the middle post of both the tone and this distortion knob and run them to the ground, or run them to the positive of the out. Basically, we want both of these running in parallel with the power and the ground of the main out of the guitar. All right, now we just need to make sure that all of our grounds are hooked up. So the back of every pot needs to be hooked up to the same ground. The pickups need to be hooked up to the same ground. The switch needs to be hooked up to the same ground. They all just need to be cohesively connected. We also don't want to forget to get the ground for the bridge, or the string ground, or the bridge ground, or else we will not get signal out of our strings. Or it'll just sound really not great. It'll be very buzzy with no ground. So I'm gonna do the same, ow, a little warm there. Do the same thing and get that hooked up as well. Next up is a sound test. We're just gonna see if it works and see if it works the way I wanted it to. All right, so I've got the guitar wired back up, or hooked up to an amp, so we're gonna find out if it works the way I want it to. So first of all, well, that's working for that pickup. That's working for that pickup as well. And then this should be our regular tone. Right? Yes, this knob should be our regular tone, which it seems to be acting as. And then this knob turned up should be acting as more of a distortion, which I don't think it's actually doing what I want it to do. Which I did wire the switch backwards. So we're gonna go ahead and flip that around as well. All right, so we did the test and it isn't working exactly how I want, and I had tried putting in the 40 volt. So we're gonna go ahead and jump to putting in the 20 volt variant, which is actually what I already put in. So I'm just gonna take these diodes out and put these diodes in. We're actually going to try something entirely different than what I just said. The diodes are not doing what I want them to do, and these are 40 volt. I have a set of 20 volt here, and I'm just going to put the 20 volt on top of the 40 volt and see if it changes anything. Because the diodes that I actually need for this are supposed to be 100 volt, but I don't have them, so we're just going to see if this does what I want it to do. All right, now we just plug it in and find out. Plonk, make sure that's all the way down. I do think it is actually changing something. It's still not quite right. It does add a little bit of attack to it. Okay, so this is going to be a really, really rough, quick explanation of what's going on inside of the guitar. So we've got our 2 humbucker pickups, which is just coils of wires wrapped around magnets in our pickups. And it's 2 coils and 12 magnets. And then we have 2 of those within the guitar. And one side of the coil runs to ground, which is this symbol right here. And then the other side of that runs over here, and specifically in this guitar. This is not all guitars. This is just in my SG, in Persephone. The other side runs over to these volume knobs. I'm going to draw them like this for... These are the same. This pin is this pin. It's just so the diagram looks better. You run the positive from the pickup in here to the center. Same with this side. And then you ground these pins. And then you take these outputs. And what this does, this potentiometer, what a potentiometer is basically a sweeping curve of resistant material. So you've got your 2 pins on the outside, and then your pin on the inside sweeps along this and changes the resistance value, and that's your center pin. Your center pin is connected to this. And all it does is change the resistance value between here and here. So if you're all the way to this side, you're connected to this side, and you have full resistance to this side. But if you swing this arm over to this side, you're connected to this side with little resistance and connected to this side with full resistance. It's basically like a switch, but with some leeway, and you have the option to be somewhere here in the middle, so then you have equal resistance to both. Back to here. So on one side of our switch here, we've got the ground, which is this, and these are our volume, so we'll mark these with V. And then on the potentiometers, not the switch. And then it runs over here to our switch. So the back of that switch that you see has 3 pins on it. And what the switch does is you've got your 3 pins, and in one position it connects these 2. So in this position, these will be connected. And then in the middle position, all 3 of them will be connected. So you'll have 3 connected pins. And then in this position, you've got just these pins connected. So in one position, you'll only have 1 pickup. In the middle position, you'll have both. And then in the other, you'll have the other pickup. So these connect to here, to the outsides. And then this runs over to your volume. Or to your output, not the volume. This runs out to your output. So we're just going to draw a speaker here for my output. Which also, the other side just goes to ground. This is just the volume circuit. And then what the tone and the diode distortion are 2 different potentiometers, just the same. Again, I'm only drawing like this just for diagram's purpose. And between one, you have a capacitor, which I know this is the wrong symbol for capacitor, that is run to ground. This is the symbol for resistance, I believe. This is not a capacitor, but in this case, this is a capacitor. It runs to ground off of this pin, just the same as the ones on the volume where this pin runs to ground. And then on this one, you'll have diodes run to ground. So we're going to have this right here, and these run to ground, just the same. And the diodes are flipped opposite of each other like this. So one lets current go that direction and one lets current go that direction. You leave these pins just untouched, and then these connect into your output here. This center pin will also connect to your output. So all of these wires are connected, they're just your output. And so what the capacitor does when you roll it into the circuit, power and ground running into your output. So you've got your speaker here running into your output. And what you're doing with those volume, or with the potentiometers and the capacitor, is you're just rolling on a resistance between these two. So you're taking that potentiometer and you're adding some kind of resistance, or in this case, we're also adding the diodes that do the clipping. So all you're doing is adding a potentiometer to add something in between your power and ground for your output. And depending on which knob you use, in this case, new page here, depending on which knob you use, you'll either get, here's our waveform, you'll either get the top cut off, or it'll just, basically it'll be like a fade transition. It won't be a hard cut. It'll just take the highs of your tone here and cut it off. So then you'll get like a high pass filter or a low pass filter. I don't remember exactly which one. I'll put it here. And then your clipping, you have your waveform. Your diode clip, what it does is cut off the top and the bottom and make, I didn't draw that very good, and cuts off the top and the bottom and makes it a hard cut. Rather than like a soft cut for your tone knob, it just cuts off the top and the bottom of your waveform to make it a harder. It's semi-distortion. It's not exactly, it's not gonna like overdrive the guitar or anything, but it adds a clip to it, like a drive pedal almost, without the amplification. So it makes the guitar have a clipping effect inside of it. So that's the circuit within the guitar. You've got your diode clipping, or your passive distortion. You've got your tone knob, and then your two volumes. And in this case specifically, I want both of these to be on separate volumes in the switch so I can tune them. So the volume has to be before the switch, unless I'm using one volume knob. If I was using one volume knob, the volume would be after the switch. I would just take the output from the switch and run it into one volume knob, then to the output. But in this case, it's pickup directly into volume knob, into switch. So then I have independent volume instead of just one master volume. Back to the show. All right. It's a new day, and I have the parts I need to actually do this correctly, because the other ones don't work. Turns out I had the wrong diodes. So I ordered some new ones up. Get this sucker open here. Bink. And the correct diodes. Well, I guess I need to open another package. Let's see. The ones that I had are for high voltage, or high, I don't know how to explain it. Basically, they were wrong. Those ones were labeled high voltage and did high voltage. This one is labeled 100 volt, but does low voltage. It's not a high voltage cutoff. This is a low voltage cutoff. So this clips at a lower voltage than the other ones. These ones are what's called BAT 41, and the other ones were Schottky ones. The other ones were black, and these are blue and labeled BAT. They're also incredibly tiny. But all we need to do to get this done correctly is pull two of these out. Take one and flip it around so they're facing opposite directions. You see how one's got black on the one end and black on the other? It's kind of hard to see, but like that. And then you just take them and you twist the ends together like that. And now we're going to take this correct set of diodes and throw it in. We've got it hooked up, and if I'm correct, full all the way up on this should be off for the distortion, and full down should be like the tone pot. So we should have completely clean. And then if we turn this down, hold on. Ah, it does work. It does in fact work. It's more obvious than I thought it would be. And I am so elated to find out that it works. So now that I've got it working the way it's supposed to, I'm gonna go ahead and get you guys another sound demo. Now all that's left is to put the back back on it and throw some new strings on it, and we're done. Just throwing the back back on. Forget I said any of that. The bent screw is the only one long enough to actually get a bite into the wood because it was pulled out at one point, and I haven't repaired that yet, but maybe that'll be part of another video as we put some real strap locks on this guitar. Make sure this is on the correct direction. Boom. And then all that's left is to replace the strings. So we'll get these ones out of here. While I have these out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and give them a quick wipe down. Or give it a quick wipe down. Get some of these fingerprints and some of this dust out of here while I can. Now that's all done. Open our strings up. And slap them on. Same as last video, just unwind your string, put it through the correct slot down here, and then take the string, and you want to make sure your tuner is aligned, just make it a little easier on you. And in the last video, it was called to my attention that you couldn't see the trick that I was talking about with stringing the guitar. Ignoring the fact that this has locking tuners on it, because you still want windings even with the tuner. So to get more windings on the guitar on your tuner here, you grab the string at the first fret right here, or at the nut, and you drag it back to here. So you take that amount of string, and you see how there's slack over here. You want to create slack, and then in my case, I'm going to go ahead and give it a nice tighten like that, so then and I bend it where it holds. And now that it's got slack, I'm going to tighten down the locking part of this tuner. There's this knob here on the back that has a pin that goes up through the tuner and squeezes the string right here and holds it, hence locking. And now that there's slack in it, I can take my string winder and wind it up. And because this is a locking tuner, I'm not so worried about it. I'm gonna go ahead and trim the end already. Normally, people would wait till the end to trim, till the very end to trim their ends, but I'm just gonna do that one now because the other one, I didn't trim it all and it's still not trimmed to this day. Now I'm gonna go ahead and string the rest of it up. Oh yeah, one more trick while I'm here. You want to also put your low E and your high E on first so that your bridge down here doesn't move. Your bridge has a chance to move, like it has a chance to move like this, and it just makes it easier if you go ahead and put the high and the low E on so that it's held up by both strings so it doesn't move. That's all for this one, folks. I hope you enjoyed and found something interesting, maybe learned a thing or two. Hope you come back for the next one. Like, subscribe, see you next time.